What's going on, guys? It's Clutch Plays here, and today I'm finally back after a long absence. So much has happened with the NBA, the world, and most importantly the Knicks when I was gone. So before we get into the Knicks future, I'm gonna go rapid fire through these news stories and give my opinion very quickly. If there's anything you guys want me to explain my stance upon, put it in the comments down below, but let's get right into it. The Chris Paul trade rumors. I saw a lot of people on Instagram and Twitter liking the idea of this trade if it were to occur, and I'm honestly shocked. He's a 35-year-old point guard with a heavy injury history on one of the worst contracts in the entire NBA. I get that he will be a good leader / mentor to our draft pick this year, which I will get into more later on in the video. However, there are way better, cheaper options than Chris Paul. Next, the Tom Thibodeau hire. Now, I was not the biggest fan of Tom coming into the search because he is a terrible developmental coach. However, I am not against and actually kind of like this hire for a few reasons. First, the Knicks are telling draft prospects that they are planning on having 3 main coaches rather than 1 main coach. This is weird, but shows that in the first few years, Tom will not be too involved and instead will probably be working more with Leon Rose. Tom Thibodeau has a lot of experience as the president in Minnesota, so he will be able to give guidance to Leon in his first year or two as the president, since he's coming over from being a player agent. This is huge in my opinion because the main knock on the Leon Rose hiring was that being a player agent, he will run into new problems that he has not faced before, similar to Rob Pelinka and Bob Myers. Tom will be a big help in this department, and I've never seen anyone talk about this, but I get it because hating on the Knicks gets clicks, and we all know how that goes. The Payne hire. This is exactly what the Knicks need, a qualified developmental coach and not some Indiana scrub like Keith Smart. Payne has been called the backbone of the Kentucky basketball organization by many former players, and all the Wildcat alumni in the NBA love this guy. His drills have stuck with Cat, Devin Booker, and so many more, which is always a positive sign. For Kenny to leave Kentucky, he must have been offered a huge role by Leon Rose and Tom Thibodeau. So if I were to make a guess, I will think he will be one of the 3 main coaches that the Knicks were telling draft prospects about. Finally, Scott Perry returning to Sacramento. This is my worst nightmare because if you have been keeping up with my videos, you know how much I love this man. Scott Perry has been one of the best general managers in a short time with the Knicks, and I am really looking forward to what he will do in the draft with 3 picks in the top 40. The Kings do have an opening after Vlade Divac stepped down as GM, and the Kings are very interested in Scott Perry. All we can hope for is that the Kings screw things up like they did when they passed on Luka Doncic. So now that we are all caught up, I've decided that it is necessary to put out a video on the Knicks' future right now because I'm so sick of ESPN, Frank Isola, Kendrick Perkins, and so many more people still talking about the Knicks in a negative stance in any way that they possibly can. These people love talking about every other NBA team in a positive sense, but when it comes to the Knicks, they refuse to talk about our future or positives in any way, shape, or form, and instead will shit on the Knicks for any move they make. And be prepared because if we fall in the draft lottery, we're gonna have an avalanche of negative news coming our way. So in this video, I will be shedding light on the Knicks' future that people ignore and talk about some of the things in the NBA's future that will significantly benefit the Knicks. To begin, we have our future center for years to come in Mitchell Robinson, who once again was top 20 in PER and had a better PER than Bradley Beal and Russell Westbrook. Also, Mitch broke Wilt Chamberlain's field goal percentage record, yet all I've heard from ESPN is crickets. This offseason, Mitch has been working a lot on his handles and 3-pointers, which look very good. Now, I don't know if we're going to see this in games, but it's something to keep your eye on. Next, our other franchise piece in RJ Barrett was not the most efficient player, but in his defense, he was playing next to a point guard, power forward, and center who all couldn't shoot or weren't allowed to shoot, and created very little spacing for him. With that said, he was great on the defensive side of the ball, got to the rim relatively easy, and was a great playmaker. RJ still needs to develop a shot, but if the Knicks can surround him with more shooters to space the floor, he will be so much better and more efficient. RJ was still a very good rookie, and it's a complete disgrace that many people are excluding him from their all-rookie team ballots. If you really have Terrence Davis over RJ Barrett, your voting rights need to be revoked, and you must be fired from your job immediately. I guess defense doesn't mean anything in these awards. To continue, we also have players with great potential in becoming good role players like Kevin Knox, Frank Ntilikina, Ignas Brazdeikis, and maybe DSJ. On top of this, we have the 6th best odds in the draft lottery in this upcoming draft, and by the way, we have to get our superstition methods going ASAP. I have mine ready with my New York Knicks Lamelo Ball jersey, so hopefully it leads us to the promised land, man. Also, we have the 27th pick and 39th pick on top of this in the draft. In the next draft, we have our own pick, the Mavericks first round pick, the Hornets second round pick, and the Pistons second round pick. So these next two drafts are going to be huge in acquiring young talent to build our core to attract free agents and become a championship contender. However, what if I told you that we could have one or two more first round picks in the next draft without trading any of our young players? This will be a very strong possibility because with the whole virus situation, the NBA has lost a whole lot of revenue. With the loss of revenue, it will result in the NBA cap moving down by 10 to 20% next season, or 5 to 10% over the course of the next 3 to 4 seasons. With the cap set to move down with the current payrolls, many teams will be forced into the luxury tax that many small market teams refuse to go into. Also, many NBA owners have lost significant amounts of money in their businesses due to the epidemic, and the last thing they want to do is be taxed tens of millions of dollars for their NBA franchise. On the bright side of things, James Dolan is the least frugal owner in the NBA and is willing to pay lots of money to make the Knicks good. Now, have the Knicks been good? No, but he has been willing to pay a lot of money for them to be half decent. The Knicks have been in the luxury tax 10 times, which is the most out of any NBA team. The Knicks make tons of money off tickets, merchandise, and TV deals. Being a bad team, so if they can spend money to create a winner for the future when other teams are being cheap, this would be a great investment for everyone. Bobby Marks, who is a cap expert, has said that first round picks this year and in future years will be available to be bought with the $5 million in extra cash that teams have to buy picks this year, so the Knicks will be a big time player here. The Knicks used their cash last year to move up in the draft about 10 spaces and draft Ignas, and if they can use it again this year to get another first round pick or move up in the draft, there is a very high chance they will do it. Also, since many teams will want to get off bad contracts so they don't have to multiply that into the luxury tax, and the Knicks have a lot of players on team options that will be declined, which will result in them having about $50 million in cap space, the Knicks could go after some of these guys to get more picks and young players than usual. For example, the Hornets were frugal last year with Kemba Walker and his contract situation, so they will probably want to get off Nicholas Batum's bad contract. There are so many more opportunities like this throughout the NBA, whether it's Al Horford, Blake Griffin, or even Thaddeus Young's contract. There will be so many opportunities like this for the Knicks in the offseason, which will only be a positive for them. With a plethora of developmental coaches on their way to New York, Scott Perry is the general manager, and Kenny Payne, the Knicks have all the tools to draft good talent and develop them. We have so many picks in the next few years to trade up for certain players that we want, which is flexibility we have not had in a long time. With tons of cap space in the next few years, a solid foundation, 2 franchise cornerstones, and a ton of future picks and opportunities to get future picks, the Knicks' future is looking very bright. This is the most flexible we have been as a franchise in a long time, and with a clean slate, it will be a very exciting next few years. Tell me what you guys think about the future of the Knicks, and if you think I'm being too optimistic, or if I'm not being optimistic enough. Also, comment down below what you guys thought about the hiring of Thibs, the Chris Paul trade rumors, and the Kenny Payne hiring, because I'm really curious what you guys have to say about it. I hope you guys enjoy this video, and it feels good to be back in the swing of things. So with that said, I'm out, and peace!